Oh, Randall, you're fine.
No, I know, I'm fine. Get my foot.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. On the agenda tonight.
So fun.
All right. And we've gotten through the bells outside. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, Madam Attorney.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
All right. All right, good evening, everybody. The day is Monday, February 3rd, 2025. This is the City of Camilla work session. We're here on the first floor at City Hall. And at this time, going to the first item, council would like to ask the council to, if there is a motion to approve the agenda. However, discussion item number 1, which is the Black History Month recognition and proclamation, I'd like to move that to an action item. So if there is a motion to approve the agenda with that addition, that is moving discussion item 1 to an action item. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion, been properly second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Councilor. All right, at this time, item number 1, Northside Heights paving project, pay request. I'm gonna switch to our interim city manager just to just briefly on what's that.
So they have completed all the work over there on the north side. This was the last cul-de-sac, that was left for the project, and York and Associates has went over there and performed the final inspection, and they recommend that we go ahead and pay for it, so they have no exception of the work. And Luke, I think you've been over there as well to make sure everything.
Yeah, they had some driveway repairs and a lot.
We got all those resolved, so we're good on this one.
And there were, correct me if I'm wrong, I know that some council members were involved in this. This is a total of 3 cul-de-sacs.
It was 3, 4.
Four cul-de-sacs, okay. This is the last
This
one.
is the last one.
A lot of, my recollection, a lot of the stuff that was happening over there, the flood or water in folks' yard without anywhere for it to go, for those 4 cul-de-sacs have been corrected. And it's also my understanding that this is coming out of T-Splosh, if I'm not mistaken. So council, and just for the public's knowledge, this isn't necessarily from the general fund. This is T-Splosh. This is money that you've already paid for, and which has been a tremendous blessing for this entire county, quite frankly, that we participate in. So we're able to get all of this work done with funds funds that were already allocated. So, all right, so council, and this is an action item tonight, so council, is there a motion to approve the final building for the Northside Heights pavement project, pay request number 4 for $161,087.94. Is there a motion?
Second.
We have a motion, is there properly second, any discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, council. Item 2, resolution authorize officials for MEAG communication. So council, and especially for our newer members, if you're not aware, prior to the city of Camilla, just like a lot of other member cities that's with MEAG, we have the money that we get back every year that we call a refund or a true-up, if you will. We've been doing this since 1999. This money has gone into this trust, but in order to do anything with that money, somebody here from the city of Camilla has to communicate to MEAG to say, do this or do that. The council has to authorize the individuals to do that so that MEAG knows that when you get this document from these two individuals, you know that the council approved it. And to go further, even with this approval tonight, I think myself and the inner city manager in our role as city clerk are listed as the folks authorized to sign. That doesn't mean that after you approve this tonight, myself, the sheriff, can go and make a decision to pull money out of MEAG. Anytime we have to pull anything out of there, it has to come before this council every single time. So what you're doing tonight is just telling MEAG, hey, these are the two folks that you need to see if there's going to be any action related to the MEAG account. And when we get into the motion, as we get a second, I just want to share a little bit more information with you. So at this time, council, is there a motion to approve the resolution number 2025-02-10-1, authorizing Kelvin Owens, the mayor, for a term that expires, and this is the term of the document. So this document is only good for a year. Term expires 12/31/25, and Sheriff Ford, the city clerk, term expires 12/31/25 to make those communications with MEAG, the incumbency and signatory certificate. Is there a motion to approve this resolution as submitted?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to properly second, any discussion? And just to, we had a discussion related to, and my apologies, I should already look up. In order to pull up my email here, I have to do some magic before the meeting, and I didn't do that. So we're going to see if we can make it happen now. Oh, look at that. All right. You guys may not be able to see that. Can you see that?
No.
I want to move this over
It's a surplus, back to.
to the side. All right, so, excuse me, everybody. So 2 years ago, if you recall, we had a very spirited conversation regarding MEAG Trust, specifically related to building the new resource center that will house the Boys and Girls Club, money set aside for spray field and some other items, economic development here in the city. And I know that some called some of those projects trinkets, if you will. But one of those trinkets will be opening here in about 2 weeks to the delight of many children here in this city. But this conversation was about 2 years ago. And part of that conversation was the concern about where would the MEAC trust be in 2 years. So it's 2 years later. And I thought it was good to go and listen to and watch the video again today. 2 years later, almost to the date, that it was predicted that the MEAC trust would be at $0. No money left. 2 years later. Here we are 2 years later, and we have roughly $6.5 million. Still in the bank. With another $500,000 coming this spring. And while at the same time, supplementing the payments of our MEAC bill to the tune of $2 million this year alone. So, when we get into some of these deeper conversations later today, I want to remind everybody that some of the stuff that we're going to hear this evening, we heard 2 years ago about where we're going to be 2 years later. And here we are. And I am proud to say to this city that not only do you have $6.5 million left in the MEAC trust, this is $6.5 million you don't have to come up for anything. This is one of the reasons why we haven't raised your light bill. This is one of the reasons why we haven't raised your taxes. In fact, this is why we've lowered light bill and why we've lowered your taxes. Is because we've had an opportunity to do that. So I just thought that was important to point out. So, all right.
Inflation.
All right. So, council, again, we've had a motion that's been properly seconded, but again, I just wanted to point out, just in case we were going to have a conversation about that, and I wanted to make sure I got the interim city manager to make sure we got an update. That was as of 12/30, December 30th, 2024. So about a month old. All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, council. Item 3, as an action item, this is the Black History Month recognition and proclamation. Council, as I mentioned before, we're in Black History Month already, and in my mind, waiting to approve this proclamation until next week just doesn't seem practical. Again, proclamations can be approved by the mayor alone. However, proclamations as important as this, I enjoy bringing these in front of the council to get approval from the council also. So at this time, council, I'd like to read this proclamation into the record, and we'll be asking for a motion to approve at the conclusion. Proclamation. City of Camilla, Georgia, whereas Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements of African Americans and a time for recognizing their central role in U.S. history. And whereas the City of Camilla City Council takes pride in joining Americans throughout the country in recognizing February 2025 as Black History Month. And whereas the 2025 Black History Month theme, African Americans and Labor, focuses on the various and profound ways that work and working of all kinds, free and unfree, skilled and unskilled, vocational and voluntary, intersect with the collective experiences of Black people. And whereas to preserve and protect the legacy of African Americans, a time should be set aside to focus and reflect on the lifetime triumphs of achievements of great leaders, educators, scholars, inventors, politicians, writers, artists, and citizens. And whereas we uplift our Black community leaders, educators, business owners, professionals, and all others who promote well-being and knowledge throughout the many facets of the Black community as part of our whole inclusive community. And whereas the city of Camilla continues its work and dedication toward becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential contributions to our community, our state, and our country. Now therefore, the mayor and city council of the city of Camilla, Georgia, hereby proclaim the month of February 2025 as Black History Month in Camilla, Georgia, and encourage all citizens to expand their knowledge of the history, culture, legacy, struggles, and achievements of African Americans, and observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies that foster awareness and appreciation of African Americans' contributions. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Camilla, Georgia, to be affixed this 3rd day of February in the year of our Lord 2025, Kevin Owens, Mayor. So council, at this time, is there a motion to approve the proclamation as presented?
So move. Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded. Any discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, let's do a roll call.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilman Burley,
Yes.
Councilman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Collins,
Yes.
Councilman Maples,
Yes.
Councilman Palmer.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, council. All right. Thank you. And before we move to our first discussion items, and agendas are awesome, and that's why you have awesome interim city managers and city clerks like Cheryl Ford to remind you that there's other items on this agenda. And whereas, ladies and gentlemen, we've gone out of order, that doesn't mean we can't go back to it. So before we get into the discussion items, are there any speaker appearances? Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Susan Radcliffe, and I'd like to start off by saying I've been by the Resource Center. It looks nice. I think the whole community is excited about that. Opening soon, and you said when? Next week?
Well, surely before the end of February, but the goal is within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We're looking forward to that.
Perfect.
Secondly, the gym. I feel like that's going to be a positive impact on our youth. Once we get that started, the plans that are underway, I guess we've already got plans underway, and when that we start construction on that, that's another positive. I think we're all looking forward to that. My concern tonight is money. Again, we're just talking about money, but I think we all worry about money, and I think we have to be fiscally responsible, and this hotel is scaring the devil out of me. I just pray and ask that each council member really examine this hotel project, and I know you're looking at it, but I'm talking about, pray about it and really examine this, because the way I'm looking at it and the things I'm hearing, I don't want the citizens of Camilla to have a fiscal responsibility. And the way it's looking to me, this is just my opinion, that's a lot of money and a lot of responsibility. And so it scares me. So I'm just asking Corey, Burley, as Lee, Steve, Mr. Maples, and Danny, and Mayor. We just need, please, let's be sure we're responsible with that. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Who's up next?
Good evening, City of Camilla council members and community at large. My name is Maggie Bell, and I am a resident of Camilla, Georgia. I am here to express interest in discussion item 2, which is the election superintendent position. With 6 years of experience in community engagement and electoral organizing, specifically in the nonpartisan sector. I am eager to serve our community in this capacity, to make sure that we have elections that are transparent, as well as efficient. For almost a decade, I have dedicated my career to empowering voters and civic participation. I have worked to ensure clear and accurate communications regarding election dates, voting precinct changes, as well as how do you access your absentee ballot for the first time. I have organized and led voter registration events across Southwest Georgia, as well as conducted quality control components necessary to make sure that voter registration forms are accurate and clear. My commitment to election integrity also extends to staying informed on legislative changes that impact our electoral process, and also by ensuring that voters are aware of policies that affect their rights and access to the ballot. I have also had the privilege to serve as a youth organizer, creating pathways for young people to engage in voter education and become a civic leader in their community. Additionally, my experience in managerial and supervisory roles, I've overseen staff and volunteers on a micro and macro level. And I believe that my skills have equipped me for the leadership skills necessary to administer elections. I am eager to bring my expertise to this role of election superintendent and to serve this community with diligence, fairness, and a steadfast commitment to upholding the democratic process. So I thank you for your time, and I hope to be considered during the selection process. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Who's next?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Carol Servo Scales. I live here in Mill on Magnolia Drive. Thank you for the courtesy of giving my opinion about the hotel this
Yes,
evening.
ma'am. Absolutely.
I feel like that if a hotel chain felt that it would be profitable to build a hotel in the city of Camilla, they would have done it, or they will do it. I don't think it's possible or fair for us citizens to carry the expense of millions of dollars and maintenance for a hotel. I understand that for a hotel to be profitable, it has to be 70% occupied. And furthermore, the property that is being proposed, it backs up to or joins a dump that has been in our city for decades. That's another subject to talk about. But anyway, I feel like possibly the citizens should be able to vote. This type of investment, we've already carried a sports bar, and I don't think a hotel that would further involve more expenses, more taxes. I think it'd be something that the citizens should vote on rather than just the council. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Oh, man, thank you. All right, who's next?
Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm going to speak about the hotel as well. I'm going to tell y'all some things you may not know tonight.
If you don't mind, sir, just your name for the record.
I'm Joe Bostic Jr. I'm chairman of the Economic Development Authority of Mitchell County. I've served as chairman for 15 years. I've served on that board for 16 years. Probably at least as long or longer than anybody sitting up here, maybe except maybe Danny and Sheriff. I've served in that capacity. I'm also a licensed real estate broker. That's what I do for a living. I've been a real estate broker for over 35 years. I've been licensed to sell real estate for 42 years. I served as chairman of the board of a bank. I started at Flint Road National Bank here as chairman of the board. I have charter. I've been involved in this city all my life. I served as chairman of the planning and zoning board here in this room for 7 years as chairman of the board. I've done a lot of things in this town. My grandfather's picture's right up there on the wall. We've had a service to the city. I feel very strongly about this town. I've cast my lot here. I graduated from the University of Georgia with a degree in economics. So I know a little bit about how to work a calculator. I've done a lot of work on this hotel. I know a lot about the hotel. I live here. You got 3 existing hotels here already. They're already firmly established that aren't doing great. You talk to them. We also got 2 bed and breakfasts right here in town that siphon off some business. If you had to have 70% occupancy to make the numbers work on the hotel, there's no way on God's green earth it's going to work. You'd have to charge $300 or $400 a night for a hotel here for it to work. We all know, everybody in this room knows that won't work. If anybody pays $300 or $400 to stay in Camilla, Georgia, no. But I challenge anybody sitting at this table to sit down with a calculator and show me how to work. I know how to work a calculator. I got a degree in economics. I've been in the real estate business. I don't farm. I work in real estate. I know what works and what doesn't work. I sold $40 million worth of real estate last year. I know what I'm talking about. This will not work in Camilla, Georgia. And you don't need to put the burden on the taxpayers of $13 more million. We already got, there's some smart people that stood right here 20 years ago when they wanted to build the A.A. McNeil building. There were some smart people that came and stood right here and said, please don't do that. The city doesn't need to be in the office building business competing with private enterprise. There's already a lot of empty stores downtown. There's a lot of smart people that stood right here and asked the city council not to get involved in it. It was only about $1 million, I think, to build that. And look at it today. You can't convert it to single purpose building. You got one tenant in there. When they leave, it'll be empty. With no hope of anything else in there. Another boondoggle. Then we heard about all the hype about the stores, how it was going to bring downtown activity. Well, look at it. Right out every night when you leave and take a look at it when you go by. How much have we got in that now? 750,000? Does anybody know? Is there a figure? Anybody can quote? I mean, this dead in the water. You couldn't give it to anybody. There's no support for that in this town. This town has been farming since 1856. 169 years. That's all it is, agriculture.
And just 1 second, Mr. Bostic. So that's Mr. Bostic's council. I would love to give Mr. Bostic, if there's no objection, another minute.
Okay, I'll finish up on that. But for 169 years, this town's been agriculture, either directly or indirectly supported by agriculture. People don't come to an agricultural town to spend the night. There's no overnight traffic here. The only reason they come here to stay is for a funeral or some type of function. Talk to the hotel operators out here that have been here for 25 years. They'll tell you, if you got every 100% of the business in this town, it wouldn't pay interest on this hotel you're talking about building. It wouldn't service interest on it. I challenge anybody sitting in this table to prove me wrong. Anybody. That's all I got to say.
All right.
Well said, well said. Thank you. And I'll hold that on that, okay?
All right, who's next? And just so that everybody is aware, this item is on the agenda tonight, and some of the concerns and statements that I've heard, be more than happy to share that information with you. So just stay tuned. I don't want to interrupt anybody here during the speaker appearance deal, but we'll get to that here in a second. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm Martha Bateman, with 4242 US Highway 19 North. And Mayor Owens and council members, my concern tonight, have a couple of concerns about the proposed hotel property. First, the property has been described as prime location. I disagree with this completely. It is located in an area where storage facilities and salvage yard directly to the north, a pecan processing plant to the west, 4 houses to the south, an irrigation business with irrigation parts display, and an ATT truck parking lot to the east. Now, that doesn't sound like a prime location to me. I encourage you to do as I did this morning. Get in your car, go over there, drive all the way around, take a look at the property itself. And then you decide whether it's a prime location or not. Don't take my word, go look yourself. Secondly, this $425,000 cost of the property is insane to me. According to the tax assessor's website, this property has a value of $35,400 in 2024. In other words, this city is proposing to pay over 12 times the value of that property. For this 3.5 acre property, you're paying $101,428.57 per acre. This property is not even on a Georgia highway. The street has light traffic and is being priced for the same or a little over what properties are selling for over there on a major road near 19 that has a lot of traffic, has major traffic. This, in my opinion, is not a wise investment for our taxpayer dollars. I want y'all to seriously think about it. And if you haven't studied that appraisal of your study that you had done, you haven't looked at it, if you haven't studied it, you need to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Who's next?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Jeremiah Florence, and it is a pleasure to stand before you as a youth council mayor and to let you all know of an event that we are hosting next Thursday, February 13th at 4:30 p.m. It's an ice cream social, and my fellow youth council member, Kenai Winston, will give you more information about the event.
Good evening. Our Ice Cream Social is a fun and engaging event designed to bring together the youth in our community for an evening of connection, creativity, and of course, delicious ice cream. This event is all about fostering a sense of belonging, encouraging meaningful conversations, and giving young people a voice to shaping the future of Camilla. Beyond enjoying sweet treats, attendees will have the chance to participate in interactive activities designed to spark ideas in the community. We'll have a vision board station where everyone can set goals and visually map out their dreams, an interactive Jeopardy game to test their knowledge and have some fun, and an idea wall where you can share their thoughts on what they'd like to see happen in Camilla. Whether it's new programs, events, or community improvements, we want to hear their voices and turn ideas into action. Whether you're already involved or just curious about what we do, this is the perfect chance to meet new people, share ideas, and be a part of something impactful, all while enjoying a fun and relaxing atmosphere. So invite the youth, make sure they come ready to the net and enjoy a night of vision engagement and of course, plenty of ice cream. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Jeremiah, where will it be? I know that it's next Thursday at 4:30, but where?
It'll be at the depot.
Oh, okay, awesome, thank you.
All right. All right, so you guys didn't catch that. These are two members of the Camilla Youth Council. And one of the things that I loved about hearing from them just now was about getting with the next generation about their ideas and dreams for this city. And I think that is truly needed these days. And really looking forward to seeing that. And again, this is something that they planned and organized. And this is one of the reasons why this council had foresight enough a couple of years ago to do this for the first time in Camilla's history. to have us a youth council, and they're doing exactly what they were commissioned to do. So extremely proud of them for that. All right, who's next?
Good evening, are you all good?
Good evening.
I'm Mike Briggs, I own the Napa store here in town, and I'm gonna address something different. Although I'm not for the hotel, but I would like to address all you guys about, couldn't we do something about all this trash that's everywhere around town? Don't any of you have any pride about, there ought to be some stiff laws or something. When somebody gets caught throwing trash on the ground, they ought to have to do 250 hours community service. Don't go take that into consideration. I'm tired of picking up trash every day.
Is this around your business as well too, or?
My home,
Or at home?
my business, everywhere you look. I tell you, I encourage any of you to ride any street in this town.
Well, I disagree with that. But
You can if you want to,
Yes,
if
sir.
you're wrong.
yes, sir. Okay. All right. Any other comments?
Good evening. I'm from Jess. I'm a citizen here in Camilla, Georgia. And I just want to say that, I ride Camilla all day, every day. Camilla is looking great. I mean, everything is coming together the way it should. I'm seeing a lot of stuff here that's never been here before. And I say again, as, the splash park, the park on Butler and Palmer. And I think the city of Camilla do a great job with keeping the city clean, even on 19. Coming into Camilla is very nice. Y'all keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other speaker appearances? All right. Hearing none, council will go ahead and move on. All right. So first discussion item for tonight, as was mentioned earlier, the election superintendent consideration. So council, what I wanted to bring up this evening was to have the council over the next week, if you have any candidates that you would like to nominate to be election superintendent here in the city of Camilla, please get those names. Oh, excuse me. All right. Please get those names available and ready for nomination for next Monday night. Please keep in mind that here in the city of Camilla, we conduct our elections via electronic voting. So whoever the nominees are will have to be willing to get that education, if you will. We got some good resident knowledge here in the city to help with that process. But there are some individual training that needs to be done in conjunction with that. And even though the next election is until November, there's a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done. So again, this is on the agenda tonight just to prime everybody that if you have any nominees or nominations, to bring that forward at next Monday's meeting, and preferably to have those names to Cheryl, city manager, by Friday if possible. All right, so I'll yield. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we, next Monday night, have consideration to contract with the county to do our city elections. They are very well equipped, and I think it would be a very wise move for this city to change from what has been going on as far as past election is concerned, and it would probably save us money to do that. So I think that needs to be voted on, and I strongly urge that we do that.
All right, okay, no, it doesn't need to be seconded. If I'm hearing you correctly, you would like to, and basically, if you wanted to, amend, wait, actually, you don't have to amend it. The council, if there's an objection from you, we can count that as item 5, which is other. And the only thing that we would need for this consideration, so what we would do is just add it to the agenda, for next week. And that agenda item would simply be, that City of Camilla will contract with the county, to conduct its elections. So that would just be an action item for next week. All I need now is just 3 council members, to move that forward as an action item for next week. Okay, good deal. All right, thank you. All right, any other comments? Okay, all right. Item 3, council, is the arts grants consideration. As you know, we've had or set aside, in the past, about $10,000 for the arts grants consideration. We have not used all of that. However, the consideration for it has more or less expired. So what I would like to ask, and there's probably about half of that remaining in that budget for that, and the rest, obviously, if approved next week, would come from the Economic Development Fund or ARPA. That's something that we can discuss at that particular time. So it'd either be an additional 5,000 or another 10,000 for the arts grants consideration. And I know for members that have not been on the council, well, I tell you what, let me do this. Let me stop for a second, just see if there's any questions generic.
Is someone actually requesting the money, or is this just something that you would set aside?
No, actually, so we would set it aside, but we've had, folks that put on these productions,
Right.
that have brought, obviously, not only revenue, but recognition here to the city. And in doing that, if you're holding that type of program here in the city, that we believe that you should have had some type of incentive, if you will, that if some of those costs were reimbursed, will encourage you to put on your deal here.
So there's an application process.
There is an application process, yes, ma'am. And again, it's just kind of faded away, if you will. But I think that it's time that we bring it back. As a matter of fact, it has been our arts program that was part of some of the stuff that we're doing that got us our plan First at the Nation. So, so again, we'll have a little bit more details, but in terms of the arts grants generically, bringing that back is what I'm asking the council, or at least 3 council members, to move that forward as an action item for next week.
I'd like to make a motion to move that forward as an action item.
Oh, well, the good news is, all you have to do, we just need you and 2 other hands.
Okay,
That's it, full force. Okay, good deal. All right, thank you. All right. The downtown hotel update. All right, so, Mr. Bosque has left, but he wanted to know, in part of his speaker appearance, that he would, if anybody could show him where this money would be generated. Well, we had a feasibility study done that took about 4 months to complete by another expert, if you will. Excuse me, please. Another expert to tell us, if we build a hotel here in Camilla, is it feasible? Literally. We did a feasibility report or study. Is it feasible? Took 4 months to do that. And part of that process is going and taking into consideration the surrounding area, what particular market share that the city of Camilla will hold. And based on that feasibility study, which prompted the forward motion, if you will, from the URA to move forward with this potential hotel, is that with the exception of the first 2 years, this is a 23-year bond, the hotel will pay for itself. There's been some references as it relates to the hotels that are already on 19, if you will. All of that is incorporated inside of the feasibility study. I can't tell you their business model and why their revenue is this or that, if you will. But as someone mentioned before, don't only drive around Camilla. You can go to Albany, you can go to Thomasville, and cities that are 1 or 2 times our size have about 3 or 4 or 5 hotels. The reason that is because the market commands it. The difference is, the city of Camilla does not have any hotels built within the last 10 years or so from the ground. Now, the URA has accepted the information contained in the feasibility report. This information has also been accepted by the projections anyway, by our financial advisor. So for those of you that don't know, the city of Camilla, not only do we have an auditor and a CFO, we also have a financial advisor that's been doing this for decades, and has been doing this for many cities and other government entities for decades. The feasibility study and its projections are solid. This is why we're moving forward. Now, I think.
Can I ask a question?
No, sir.
I'm
Sir.
Anyway.
Sir. No, you will not, sir. No, you will not. No, you will not. First warning, sir. First warning. First warning.
I've been in this town a lot longer.
All right. We have an officer out there.
Doesn't matter.
You can kick me out if you want, that's fine. I'm just asking a question.
Sir, that time has passed. That's why we have to speak appearances.
I just want to know if the city's on the motels in other towns.
All right, last warning, sir. But in the interest of fairness, for those of you that have not been here before, or don't come here that regularly, what I would ask you to do, and this is why we put these agendas out there, this is why we have the speaker appearances. We want to hear what you have to say, but you have to do it within the confines of what is laid out here. So it's not that we don't want to hear from you. There's an order of business on how we do it. So next time, what I would recommend, we will be here next Monday night at 6 p.m. We will have another speaker appearance. I would invite everyone who didn't have an opportunity to speak tonight to please feel free to come next Monday night. You'll have 3 minutes to say whatever is on your mind. Okay? All right. So, as I was saying, with the feasibility study, everyone that has looked at it, from our financial advisor, the URA, city attorney, folks that do this for a living, says that this is a viable, by the projections, viable project that will pay for itself. Now, during some of the conversations that we had this evening, as it relates to agriculture, agriculture is indeed the backbone of our economy. However, sir, if some of you are not aware, your voice is carried. So I'll ask you, if you're in the gallery, to please refrain for while business is being conducted up here. And specifically, while government business is being conducted up here. This is an official meeting. Please do not interrupt the governmental operations of this city. All right. So again,
Do what the hell you want to do anyway, we're gonna leave.
That's probably best. That would be best. At least someone's going to.
all right. Look, I'm gonna get through this feasibility study at some point. So based on the feasibility study, this is a viable deal. But there's been conversations tonight about this being agriculture is indeed the backbone of our economy. But it's not the only aspect of it. Ladies and gentlemen, to say that the city of Camilla, 30 miles from Albany, 30 miles from Thomasville, 30 miles or so from Bainbridge, that somehow we are cut out of this thing where we can't get ourselves involved in the larger economy, bigger things, just doesn't compute for me as mayor. The good news is your elected representatives are sitting around the dais. Your voices are sitting here right now. If 4 council members decide that this is a viable project, this is your representative government. What I can appreciate, frankly, as a defender of our Constitution for 22 years of my adult life, as a combat veteran, what I can appreciate is that there are folks that are obviously taking the initiative. I've seen signs and yards. That's what this democracy is all about. Get to your elected representatives and tell them what you think. They will bring your voice and your ideas, hopefully, to these meetings. Nothing will happen in this city related to the hotel or anything else without 4 affirmative votes in this town. That's the safeguard. So right now, where we are is we have an appraisal that is currently in process. So we heard earlier about the tax amount on the property and that type of thing. That's great information. But what we're doing right now is appraising or having an appraisal done on what that property is worth. What is it worth by itself? What is it worth at when the hotel is built? What is it worth when the hotel is operational? We're going to get all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing our due diligence here in the city of Camilla. That appraisal is being done right now. Every single elected individual sitting around this table, and the public, quite frankly, will have a look at that appraisal. The second thing we're doing is with our engineers, we're getting inside of that soil. And you should see that probably, if not by the end of this week, next week, we're digging up that ground to see what's in there. Is it viable to build something on top of it? What's in the soil? That's what we call a geotechnical study. So we're doing a geotechnical study on the land, because I heard somebody say something about salvage yard and all this other stuff. We're having that done, and we're also having the appraisal done. So that's where we are right now as it relates to the hotel, and hopefully we should have all of this information combined. We asked the owner of the property for 120 days to do all of this, to do this due diligence. Because obviously he has an asking price. All right, I appreciate the asking price, but we're going to do our due diligence to see exactly what it is we would potentially be buying. As it relates to the bonds, so this is going to be somewhere between $10 to $13 million in revenue bonds. As I mentioned, in bonds. So of that $10 to $13 million, part of the feasibility study is saying, hey, in these 23 years, how does this get paid for? With the exception of the first 2 years, to the tune of roughly $50,000 or $60,000 when you back in the electric cost, but just calling it raw. $120,000 combined for the first 2 years. The next 21 years, the hotel is projected to pay for itself. With that projection, there isn't any money that will be coming from the general fund from the city of Camilla, with the exception of potentially the first 2 years. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clarified based on the projections. As it relates to the site, you know, we were told 2 years ago that you can't build a brand new Boys and Girls Club where it's at right now, because if you did so, it would flood. Everybody remember that?
Yes. But I don't know how to speak.
I know this is an emotional time for some. I get it. Change is hard. I get it. I get it. But we were told we couldn't build, well, we were told 2 things. If you build it, and one of the persons that came and stood right there said that we didn't even need one, quite frankly, 2 years ago. Second, that if you do build it, it's gonna flood out. And 3, if you do build it, we're gonna have any more money left in the MEAG Trust Fund in 2 years. The only thing that I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we keep getting called to the state capitol for the work that we're doing here in this city. I can't speak on every time someone comes to the podium or to speak their opinion, because all of it matters. It really does. All I can tell you is what the end results are. Because of this new Boys and Girls Club, we're going to be having $180,000 additional every year for the kids that go there. You can't beat that. So, excuse me when I listen to some of this negative talk. The only thing I have to go off of is what I'm seeing with my own eyes in a positive way. So I'm just going to stick to what has already been proven versus what folks are saying is going to happen. So with that, as it relates to the hotel, I just don't want to move on. I want to make sure that if there's council members that had any thoughts related to the hotel. Yes, ma'am.
I have seen the study, and I'd like to just bring a few things to mind. The study focused on 3 surrounding cities: Thomasville, which has a $71 million tourism impact; Albany, which is 13 times as large as Camilla; and Moultrie, which has the Ag Expo, which has a $16 million impact. They have 6,000 visitors just to Calico Arts and Crafts Festival, and 6 carve festivals a year. So a lot of things are going on in those 3 cities, which would merit perhaps development that we don't have. So it's kind of like comparing a basketball to a ping pong ball. I won't say it's a real job, but I'm a math teacher. And so I brought some math numbers for y'all tonight. I do love a visual, and it'll just take me a minute to show you. I went on the positive side, and if a 54-room hotel, and the average profit, Cobblestone charges about $145 a night. Hotel profits go anywhere from 5 to 35%. I went in the mid-range, $30 a night profit.
Where's that number come from?
I've got it, it's on hotel.com, it's just a AI generated. Hotel profits are between, it said 10 and 35% of the room rate that you charge. If you Google it, like,
Oh, no, I
women
just
do.
want to make sure we're good for the
All right, but anyway, if our hotel stayed full every single night of the year, all right, 54 rooms, $30 a room, 365 days a year, that's $591,000 in profit, which sounds great. But right now we've got a bond for $5,000,000, we're paying $418,000 and some change a year. And that's an average because it fluctuates. All right. A $13 million bond, approximately $800,000. And I verified that with 2 of our local finance people in town, but and that's an underestimate. It could be as much as $1 million from what I'm told, it depends on the rate you get, okay? So, $800,000 a year in payments, $591 in profits, we lose $208,000, which is what
Okay,
the study
so
says.
hold on one second, ma'am. So the first thing here, and this is why this is so important. You're leaving out a very important point, council member. The point that you're making out is that the $5.1 million bond is being paid for by SPLOST. Make that point to the folks now. That money is being paid for by SPLOST from the penny sales tax that they're already paying, which there's $900,000 in that account as we speak tonight. So please, ma'am, do not conflate those two things.
I didn't conflate, I'm just saying the $13 million bond is gonna cost $800,000.
No, ma'am. You added the $5.1 million bond. You just said.
No, I didn't add it, no, sir,
Okay.
absolutely not, no, I was just comparing. That's where I got my numbers. I used this one and set up a proportion.
You see right there where it says $5.1 million bond?
Yeah, and that's what that cost, so that's where I came up with this number. So you're telling me a $13 million bond won't cost $800,000 a year?
No, ma'am.
How much will it cost a year?
No, ma'am. What I'm expressing to you is that you are conflating the SPLOST with, if you're gonna tell the folks.
But it's not, the SPLOST is already paid for. I'm not saying it's but somebody's gotta pay $800,000 a year.
Yes, ma'am.
And the hotel can't pay for itself. Based on if it was full every night of the year.
Okay.
And that's not gonna happen.
So what I would say to you, council member, we had a firm that we have a firm that specializes in this, that does this for a living. Now, if you're saying that you as a math teacher has more experience than the folks that actually do this for a living, then say that for the record so we can get that and make sure.
Folks that do that for a living on their own paper say you cannot use our name and you cannot use our numbers for anything but discussion. It's on their disclosure page of the study, and I will bring a copy next week for everybody to see, but the disclosure page itself says you can't say our name in public and you can't use our numbers in public. This is only for discussion, because they compared a basketball to a ping pong ball. We're not big enough to support a hotel that'll pay for itself, and if we were, somebody would come in and build one, just like they did in Bainbridge, just like they're doing in the south of Thomasville, just like they're talking about doing in Moultrie, and I'm gonna, that's all I gotta say, 5 minutes is up.
Well, I think that what we just witnessed has been part of the negative growth in our city.
I'm not for negative growth, I'm not, I want the city to support businesses, not own them, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. My point is, you just talked about all of these festivals and these different things that are happening in these different cities. Bainbridge, Thomasville, Albany. For some reason, it appears that you believe that some of that traffic can't come here. And that's where we disagree. I believe that the city of Camilla is more than capable of entertaining and housing many of these folks that are staying here. We have folks right now that come to Camilla for business that spend the night in Thomasville. That happens every single day. What I'm suggesting to you is that we need part of that market share. And I can appreciate, and I really do appreciate visuals, because that would indicate some serious thought process there. So I appreciate that, thank you. But I think this is part of the larger debate that at some point we're going to get to asking this question for real. And I think those types of information that you got there is relevant to the conversation. I just disagree. All right. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
I agree with Ms. Marine. The study, I looked at it as well, and it's flawed. The comparison cities that they used are not comparable by any means to the city of Camilla. as to what they, because those hotels are generated by activity that is coming to those towns. It's not here. It's not coming here. The other thing is, hotel chains are in business to make money. They don't go anywhere that they don't make money. All right, if they come to Camilla, somewhere in the paperwork or the contract, there's gonna be some language that the city of Camilla is going to guarantee that they rent X number of rooms every night, or they will not come here because they do not go somewhere that's a loser. And this is what I want to see the contract, the proposed contract where, because it's in there, I can tell you, I know about this from other towns.
Yeah. Sorry. Finish your thought, Council.
What?
I said you finished with the thought?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the problem there. You said comparable. This was not a comparison study, sir. It was a feasibility study. There's a difference. Is it feasible for the city of Camilla to have this hotel here? That's the difference. So we didn't compare. The second item that you mentioned, that the hotel is going to have somewhere in the contract that if you do not fill these many rooms, you will pay X, Y, Z. That simply isn't true. The hotel will belong to the citizens of Camilla, Georgia. The bond is your hotel. That's the difference. Now, typically, what you would like to have in these situations is that someone like Cobblestone, after about 5 years, would see the revenue, if you will, and we're like, hey, City of Camilla, let me get that from you. $13 million bond goes away, rest is history. But the bond is yours. The hotel is yours, so no one is going to be telling us how many people you got to have in the hotel, or you're going to pay us this. There's a franchise fee we're going to pay for their name going up on the deal. That's it. So that information simply isn't true. The hotel will belong to the citizens of this city. And because it is a capital project, there may be a way, potentially, and we're looking into this as it relates to the tourism side of SPLOS, as it relates to that also. So I just want to make sure that that's clear up. The hotel will belong to the city. Yes, sir.
What you just said is every citizen in this town is going to be on the hook for $13 million. And because, like I said, it takes so many rooms to rent to make a profit for these hotels. And that means that somebody's going to pay it, and it's going to be the citizens of this town.
No, sir, you keep saying for the hotel. Sir, the hotel belongs to the city.
Same thing.
No, it's actually not, sir.
Same thing.
It is not.
But to sit there and say, that is just, blowing smoke up somebody's breeches leg, because it is not the truth. Plain and simply.
Well, I mean, yelling into the mic doesn't make it even more true, sir. The hotel will belong to the city of Camilla.
And they got to pay.
I just would like for us to support local business and not own local business.
Well, ma'am.
And that's just my opinion, and I think that we should be a supporter of business. I think one of our speakers mentioned that it's not fair, that this entity would, and I don't know, would the hotel pay taxes? If the city owns it, did the city pay the city taxes?
Not pay taxes.
The liability, who we would have to carry insurance,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think.
I don't think there's any,
I think.
Question how I feel about it, but I've said my piece, if it's full every single night of the year, it's not gonna pay for itself.
Okay, listen, you're a math teacher. Any other comments?
Did the financial advisor advise us on scores also?
Oh, we're gonna get scores here in a second. Any other deals with the hotel?
But this is the same thought process.
Yeah, I'm gonna get there in a second. I'm gonna get there.
All right,
Scores.
I'm waiting to hear it.
Yes, sir, scores wasn't paid for by bonds.
It what?
It wasn't paid for by bonds.
No, we paid for it.
Alright. Any other comments?
Bonds end up have to being paid though.
Indeed, but scores wasn't paid for bonds. You mentioned scores. Scores wasn't paid for by bonds.
I mentioned the scores because it's losing a lot of money.
Of course, it was.
Lost this lot.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. I want you to keep that, a lot of money. We'll put that on the
To
board.
me it is, I mean, I guess,
I'm assuming you're basing that off of something.
I'm basing it off the numbers I see.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
I hadn't seen anything otherwise.
I got you.
I hadn't seen any financials.
Yes, sir. Is any more comments on the hotel?
I'm against it. I'll say that.
Yes, sir. Duly noted.
As a taxpayer, I'm against it.
Yes, sir. Any other comments regarding the hotel? All right. Scores update. Number 5. And I know some are saying, Mayor, you got him lined up tonight. Why you got all this on him, knowing you finished such and such? You know why? Because this is democracy. We don't hide around here. We put it out there. We need to hear from folks. So let's get the scores. All right. So council, as you know, scores entered into or URA did, entered into a contract with the contractor out of Albany. 150 days. 150 days. And there's a reason why we chose 150 days. That's 5 months. 2 things. The first is because we're not in the hotel, we're not in the restaurant business. That was the first deal. The second is that scores is the byproduct of numerous surveys of the citizens in this city. In our council approved strategic plan, our council approved comprehensive plan. Now, Councilman Palmer was on that steering committee for the comprehensive plan. The threats, the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, threats, opportunities, all of that pointed to a situation like scores. And for a little bit, through Blue Anchor, they came to develop that building, and if everybody remembers correctly, Blue Anchor did pretty good before they left. And I believe that they had another opportunity, if you will, that they went and took. And that building sat empty for 3 years. I wasn't doing anything for our downtown. So the majority of this council made the decision to make a capital investment in schools. And there's been some numbers discussed over the last couple of weeks. There's been some numbers being discussed and reprint in this so-called newspaper that were simply I'm gonna use the term disingenuous. Because inside of those numbers, and I believe this may be some of the numbers that Councilmember Collins is speaking of, were not all operational costs. They were part of the startup, the capital side of getting scores up and running. Consulting fees, roofs, equipment, these types of things. But that was all conflated and put into one thing as all operational costs, which just wasn't accurate. And frankly, wasn't fair to the conversation. And it's unfortunate because that information got reprinted and put back out there into the universe. The good news is, at the conclusion of that 150-day cycle, and the contractor was gracious enough to hang on just a little bit longer to get us through the meaty part of the NFL playoffs, that came to an end. It was designed that way. It was only for 150 days. In that 150 days, let me show you the operational side of it. I don't know. All right. I'm trying to make this as big as I can. If you can't see it, that's okay. I'll just call it out. So part of SCORES, everybody, was a program called TOAST. And typically what TOAST is, T-O-A-S-T, it is when you go to a regular restaurant, and those of you that have gone to SCORES, those of you that's actually gone to SCORES and experienced it. When you tap your card, when the employee clocks in, all of this is fed into one central system, if you will. So here's what we know operationally from SCORES. We know that SCORES between July, August to the end of December, net sales, can you guys see that? Was $65,615.69. Let me say that again. In those 150 days or so, SCORES generated $65,615.69. That was 150, 160 days. I'm going to pull this up. See if you guys can see this at the bottom. That's $65,000 for a place that was only open 4 days a week. And 2 of the 4 days were only open for 4 hours a night. Everybody tracking? Here's what we know. Minus the postal boards and general statements like a lot. We're going to dig into the actual analytics of SCORES. As you can see here at the bottom, you see those flat lines? We're closed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Here are the sales for Thursday, Friday. Our business night was on Saturdays. See that whole bar there. So that duration of that contract, on average, total $24,000. Saturday and Sunday were our biggest months. I'm sorry. Actually, Friday and Saturday. So we know as we prepare to sell or lease stores, and I would assume that any potential buyers, any potential leasers are going to want to know this information. This is why we captured it. And for folks that are sitting around here on the table, that are printing stuff in so-called newspapers, the fact that you was not part of every single conversation doesn't mean that you know all things scores. And what's unfortunate, that there are some in this community, elected officials, media, that regardless of the analytics, just posted stuff, printed stuff. Because I guess apparently because they could. Let me go to another document. Here's the one that I really like. Can everybody see that? But we know how much food, how much wine, how much bottled beer, how much liquor were sold. This is information that a potential buyer or leaser will probably want to know. For the food, was about 52% of our sales. It's pretty good. Running about 50-50, 50-50 alcohol, 50-50 food. Pretty good margin. At the tune of $65,000 over the course of 160 days. What these numbers tell us, everybody, is that school, that's open 4 days a week. And 2 of the 4 days is only open for 4 hours. Yielded $65,000. No lunch.
So do we have expenses on them?
No, just one second.
Oh, okay.
No lunch, no brunch. Now, to council members, and again, thank you, because that is an operational question. So on average, we average about $1,000 in labor per week. Per week. Per week, man. Everybody know what a waitress makes an hour?
So that's 20,000 in labor. What I'm counting here, with 5 months, 4 weeks.
Close to about 23. But we're gonna go full 6 months. So 24 weeks.
You have them for put on the board like that.
What's that?
The expenses.
Yeah, so no, I think if you look at whatever was pulled from, I think there was an open records request related to that.
I pulled it, but I didn't bring it with me, I'm sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. Again, what you're looking for, and you'll be able to see it, there is a separate account for the consultation fees, and there's what comes out of the bank account for labor, if you will. So it's not in this way, well, it is in this report, but not in these documents. But it's a very easy way to.
On that one, it has it all put together on 2 or 3 different occasions.
But do you have it to put on the board or not?
No, I don't. What I have, let me do it this way. Let me do it this way. And I won't go all the way with this council, but let me just give you an idea.
What's the net after?
Of how you work. So you figure, because I'm the guy that when it comes in, the checks, the reimbursement part of that has to be paid by us. So typically, what you're looking at is, like I said, about $1,000. Actually, it's closer to about $800 a week for labor, but roughly another $1,500. And I'm being very, I'm going up a little bit. for your food and your alcohol and all of that. Net is somewhere in the neighborhood is about $20,000 over the 6 months. At the very least, breaking even. The point and the reason why I brought these numbers up is because these are some of them, when we put this thing on the market and we have these conversations, which we have gotten a lot of robust, the phone has been ringing off the hook. Primarily the lease scores. And I think we've had at least 2 folks offering to buy. But leasing, we just had to tell them, hey, listen, just wait for the URA will develop that policy here in the next week or 2. But we wanted to be able to say to these folks, this is what, if you plan on open stores up 5 nights a week, this is what we did in, 7 days a week. This is what we did in 4 nights. And 2 of those nights were only open for 4 hours a day.
You said the expenses were equal to what we brought in. Is that what you said? We broke even?
No. I said at best 20,000. At the least,
very
at the
best,
worst.
we made 20,000?
No. At the very least, we broke even. At the very least.
At this point,
You don't have the expenses? You don't have the expenses?
Yes, sir. The expenses were discussed a week ago. Let me show you this. The open records request for this information has already been done. What I'm telling you, what you need to look for is the operational side. So you want to know the payments that came out of the store's bank account. That's your labor, that's your food, that's your liquor. And what I'm expressing to you is that those numbers, and it looks something like this. But I'm gonna do this, Councilman, because you asked, but I think the thing is important to,
We need to open Friday night or Saturday.
okay. All right. So these are paid, Councilman, in what we call URBs or URAs. And I don't know if you can see here in this email where it's saying URA 33B, that represents a week. B is labor. B is food. B is liquor. 33B, 1,058.82. This is what I was talking about with the average as it relates to labor. 34B, that's the next week, $758. This is why I use the average of about 800. URA 35B, $685. That's labor. The first one, you can assume we had some liquor and some food in there. 35 alpha. The alphas are the non-operational consulting fees, these types of things. So, but I didn't really want to confuse you on that, but my point is, when you just look at 1, 2, 3, B's, that's operational per week. You're looking at somewhere between $600 and $1,000 a week. So if we do the 24 weeks, what you're looking at, 24,000 labor, another 1,000 in food, beverages, that's 48,000. We made 65 in net sales. So that's why I come up with the number somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 at the very least, breaking even.
That includes consulting.
No, consulting was not part of the operational cost. What we're talking about, what was included in these numbers that's been floating around for the last 2 weeks is non-operational.
So you say consulting for the day-to-day operations is not operational costs?
No, sir. The day-to-day operation is part of the labor. How do we use toast? if there's a problem with Toast, or if you need to send another employee down, if you will. Once scores, either we sell scores, or we lease scores, or we open scores back up with another contractor, there will be no consulting. This is the point that I'm making. This was a consulting contract. There won't be any consulting. It was just
I'm
be
not
straight.
worried about the next contract, I'm worried about this last period. What's the net we lost?
Sir, I disagree with the idea that anything was lost. I don't know where that adjective keeps coming from. We made an investment. What we put in operationally and what we got out operationally appears to be viable. Now, we're going to truly find that out here in the next 8 to 12 weeks. Because if we lease it, or if we sell it. Well, let me tell you the thing that really has this particular mayor of this particular city confused. Somehow, some kind of way, and this is the disingenuous nature of this whole conversation. For the first time in Camilla's history, we're gauging or trying to rate an investment of what we do in 150 days. The conversation itself was completely disingenuous and completely unfair. You make an investment, I need to see the returns in 150 days. Who does that? Nobody. You know how I know? Because we put $150,000 for a hangar out of the airport and we gave them 10 years just to break even. These conversations have been completely unfair and completely disingenuous. And when I say unfair, I'm talking about unfair to the citizens of this city. In the history of business, no one looks for a return in 150 days on anything. And if we're truly counting what we're doing and what we have, if I know for a fact we got a book of business for the last 20 years that has consistently brought in negative close to $150,000 to $200,000. And that's not airport. But let me tell you why I support it. Because we have not used it to its full potential. But starting in 2025, we will. We worked on the payroll out there in terms of personnel. We're working real hard as it relates to unmanned flight and drone technology. The idea that the city of Camilla can't grow with the best of them, I don't know where that mentality comes from or where it is, but I suspect that it's going to have a hard time surviving with this council. We're going to move this city forward. Yes, ma'am.
I just like to look at the positive side, and from what you said just a few minutes ago, it sounds promising. You said that you've had the phone has been ringing and people are interested. And I think that that's great. And I hope that the URA will be able to do some business with some of these people and we can get the doors back open. I hope that.
Don't stop.
I'm just going to get the doors back open there.
Now, there, Scores, ladies and gentlemen, isn't closed. The contract has ended. We are now headed into phase 2 of the whole purpose of opening Scores.
And I'm glad.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right. And ironically, I got to share this. And my apologies, everybody. I literally, it's going to take me 2 seconds. I got this email. Won't get into the whole deal of it. But anyway, this is from Cobblestone. And it came in today at 2:22 p.m. And basically, what this email says is that, hey, and this goes to what Councilman Palmer mentioned earlier about hotels when they come into town and this type of thing. What we're doing is so innovative. There's a mayor out in Oklahoma. Hey, because remember, we're members of NLC, National League of Cities. Y'all do see these pictures when we go and take these pictures and get these awards for the innovation that we've been doing here in the city, right? Y'all, hopefully folks will see those. But anyway, a mayor out in Oklahoma. Can you guys put me in touch with that mayor out in Camilla? Because what you guys are doing with your hotel, Cobblestone, because what Councilman Palmer is saying typically is correct. This is typically not how you do it. But this mayor is saying, can he call me so I can explain this innovative approach to bringing a hotel to our town? Beckenridge, Albany, Thomasville, folks, they talking about us in Oklahoma. But you ain't got to take my word for it. Every month you are hearing how we are getting awarded for our innovation. Now that right there, I don't care how many silly headlines folks put up. Pictures and awards don't lie. All right. That was scores update. You are able to get together here in the next 10 days to 2 weeks to work out the policy on trying to figure out how we're going to lease this thing, sell it, or get with a partner with another contractor to manage it. So that information is coming soon. All right. Anything else on scores? Yes, sir.
Is there any possibility that we could get the actual expenses versus income on this project, other than convoluted what you just said about operation, this and that and other?
You talking scores?
Right.
I'll have them next week.
Yes, sir, it has to. That's already.
I only have to November.
Yes, sir.
But I will get
What
that.
we got is not.
Well, we just don't have the expenses. I think that what he has the numbers.
No, actually we do.
I just don't have them on me. I didn't bring them, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I want to know what the bottom line is.
Yeah, we can figure that out.
Right.
But no, and as it relates to scores and the numbers and this type of thing, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to open records requests, do all the such and such and such. This guy, not feeding any more into this, to use this word, convoluted silliness. Not going to do it. Everything that we do is part of public record. Pull it. Say how you want to, calculate it however you want to. That is completely up to you. But that's where we are on that. And you guys can share that with whoever you deem necessary. All right. Anything else on scores? All right, Councilmember Maria.
I just had a brief conversation with both Cheryl and Luke today, and such a beautiful facility. I just was hoping that we might could be proactive and, just before it opens, what the hours are, who's gonna be there when, just, maybe if there are any agreements with rental facilities and things like that, just some things to throw around, and I don't know if anybody else had any suggestions, who pays for what, just some general questions that I thought that might want to be answered before the doors open, and also, if anybody would like help, I would love to volunteer to be on a committee for a wonderful grand opening.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. You should know that, you got some on this council that voted against the Boys and Girls.
Well, I wasn't here then.
Okay, I just want to.
But I would like to
I just want you to be aware. But here's the deal. To answer your question, the URA, which manages that piece of land over there, will be working closely with the Boys and Girls Club to figure all that out.
Okay.
But on average, it will still pretty much remain the same operating hours. As it relates to the public piece, there's conversations. Remember, we added about 18,000 back to the library. So some of that programming was assuming that funding wasn't there, that some computer access and that type of thing. With that computer access and with the citizens making the final decision on that this fall, will determine how much will happen that. But I envision a world where that facility, talking about the new resource center, will act as a backup or a primary to the depot for those that want to have classes, meetings, the whole now. There's a lot that can be done with that building. That building, controlled access, there are keypads on every single door. There will be no folks there while the children are there. Everybody required to go into that building, including me, has to perform a background check. So there will be no general public in the Boys and Girls Club while the boys and girls are there. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing, boys and girls there are not typically there on the weekends. They're not typically there in the mornings. And so there's an opportunity there for our seniors in the community to utilize that space, our civic organizations to utilize that space, and for folks that are doing business, potentially need a nice space, modern space now, to have a meeting room, if you will. We now have that for them. So, and again, as I mentioned before, with that $180,000 over the next 3 years is going to be coming with that building.
So the scheduling and stuff could be done at the depot, yes.
Absolutely, and programmable remotely. But we're going to be getting into that over the next couple of weeks.
I just wanted to throw that out there. And again, I'd be happy to help.
Absolutely. Want to serve on the board?
I would. Yes, sir.
All right.
I'd like to.
Okay.
I've had a background check too. I'm good.
Ironically, Boys and Girls Club do their own. So that's good.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, new gym update.
I love the new gym. I'm excited. I didn't know if the plans had come through yet. And so I was asking to see where we were.
Indeed, we're just about there.
Okay.
We're going to be having hopefully a groundbreaking before the summer.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we're going to have. We decided, and we actually had this conversation. City Chairman of the Mitchell County Board of Health is also here. We had a conversation in our last meeting related to certain buildings here in the city that could act in place of an emergency and that type of thing. If we had an emergency here in some of the spaces that we have and what it would be required to do. And I think one of the things that the director mentioned was that not only that, you gotta have folks there managing and that type of thing. But with this new gym, we're gonna be adding a backup generator. That if there is power loss here, that potentially this gym will also act as some type of emergency shelter if needed. Because of obviously the space there. I think this is something that our Mayor Pro Tem brought up the other day also related to that. So we're going to be creating space for that backup generator if we ever need it. So all of that, and that conversation was about 3 weeks ago. So all of that is still being worked into the plan. But hopefully we should have a working something here by the summer.
Wonderful.
Yes, ma'am. But breaking ground, we should be doing that before the summer.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, and that's pretty much the update as it relates to the gym. Program for 60 years and older citizens. Everybody we've had a lot of conversations related to what we're doing for our youth. But we need to quickly pivot to what are we going to do as it relates to programming for our seniors that are 60 years or better here in the city. And over the spring, we really need to have that conversation and how we can make sure that we are accounting for their needs and their ability to participate in everything that we're doing. I know we do a lot of talk about our kids, and that's important, but we cannot forget about our seniors here in the community. So over the course of the next 90 days or so, we'll be hearing a lot about what can we do to improve their quality of life and add to it. So any comments, council, related to that?
I know there's a very active program over at, and I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the church. No, there's
Cross Church.
Cross Church, thank you. On Tuesdays, and that I know that's a pretty active group, and so that might be a place to start.
Yeah, so we offered $15,000 in ARPA to piggyback with them. I think, I'm not sure if the same pastor's there now, but that was rejected. So we were gonna add $15,000 to that program. And that was, that's partnership.
I'm sorry, that was not a good word to use. It's unfortunate that they didn't accept it. I'm sorry, that was not very good.
So
If I'm excused there, I'm sorry, I did, that was perhaps.
So we went down that road.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Didn't know that.
Yes,
Thank you. No,
indeed.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. All right. HB 581, resolution to opt out homestead exemption. So Thursday, and again, council, want to thank you for your flexibility. Thursday will be our final call meeting for potentially opting out of HB 581. That's when we will approve, if the council so desires, the resolution. If approved that night, we will transmit that to Secretary of State to let them know that the city has opted out. Again, for the citizenry, Thursday night, February 6th, 6:30 p.m. here in this room. If you have any thoughts or concerns related to us potentially opting out, please come here and let your voice be heard. That will be the final hearing for that. And Madam Attorney, any thoughts?
No, sir.
All right. Anything from the council or 581? Okay. All right, number 10, Councilman Moore.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Laura. This is relation to trees on North Scott Street. Just a follow up on getting that project complete. Still just getting, feedback from residents about the concern. Folks who drive through.
Is it the oak trees?
Yes, the opening, Monster Oaks.
Right.
So just wanted to put that back out. I did have a chance to speak with Ms. Ford. She does think we may need to put this in front of our tree committee.
I was just fixing to say, I think I got put on the tree. January. And one of the questions I said, well, we gotta talk about what to do about the oak trees. So that's, you're talking about right around, the planters, yeah. Okay, very familiar with those trees.
So just whatever, if there's any action to have the tree committee meet, just want to bring that forward.
What do your constituents think? Do they think they need to be cut back?
Yes.
All right, so just to clear above the road or not destroy the whole tree?
Right, just clear the road.
Gotcha, okay. I think that's probably a good idea. Traffic lights anyway, for sure.
Yeah, now, just to be, and kind of look at this a little bit, today, you may not have to, because if it's a safety issue.
Right.
Our ordinance allows us to go ahead and move. But I think you still need to that.
I want to make sure, this actually goes back, the quote came in September 2024. So I actually had Acre Maker reach out to me latter part of last week. We had asked them to take a look at something else we want to get done, and they asked me if we were ready for this, and I told them at the time that, you know, I thought that maybe the tree committee was gonna have to take a look at it, because it does reference a substantial stand of trees, and I would have to get somebody to actually explain to me what that looks like. I think the mayor has pictures that I sent him of these trees, and I mean, it's quite a canopy over that portion of the road.
It is, the power lines are on the other side though, the oak trees are on, I guess would be the west side, the power lines, I think are on, I can't think of the directions
You
from
know,
it.
what they looked at when they came down here was to trim large overhanging limbs from approximately 6 large oak trees located along the left side of the street near 89 South Scott Street, and then there's one large oak tree near 79 Scott Street.
Yeah, there's some on the right further down as you go, I think.
And then there's, and it doesn't describe what kind of trees these are, but it's to trim approximately 2 to
What is the cost?
$6,000. Which is bad, because they gotta bring a crane in here
Right.
to assist them with making sure it doesn't, you know, do any damage when they actually cut it to pull it down.
Cheryl, what is actually the problem with the trees?
Well, I think it's infringing on one of that White House, is that who you've been talking to? Troy?
Yes.
I looked at it today again, because I was in the area checking on something else.
And it's, I guess, an apartment too, or a duplex, right next, like something, right, coming downtown. And then you just hold it passing through.
Well, I think, I still, what's the problem with the trees?
Generally overhanging, folks are worried that limbs may fall on cars, etc.
Well, have they fallen on cars?
Being preventative and not reactive.
Now, I can tell you,
To be assessing that.
but now, when we were in business over there, more than one time, the limbs did fall in the road and we had to get them out. That was just to further dry cleaners.
The,
I do remember that.
people, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And it's not you're not worried about that, but I'm telling you, when the wind blows, you got, I bet the street sweeper's not right going down there. Especially on a good storm, it probably makes a mess of the street out.
Well, I would go by what Acre Maker's assessment is.
I'm speaking with arborists tomorrow about some other trees, so we can go back and look at those trees and get a
That'd be
second
great.
opinion. Because he's their, certified arborist, so.
Is that, are they out of Tallahassee?
He's their
Meg.
I'm all for letting the tree guy, I mean, because if you cut too much of it, it'll kill the tree.
Well, that's why it's gonna be an arborist.
Gotcha.
Eventually, we'll call us down to that, setting season.
I don't think they want to get rid of the trees.
No, absolutely not.
The arborist needs to.
We got a fine line.
They trigger the arborist, they tell what's.
Yeah. Because that's a lot of standing. When the pecan tree went, the power bill went up.
That's trying to deliver for the.
I
They want the trees trimmed. It's the request I got from the community.
And it's the second time, because like I said, she's already got the price on it, so.
Are we responsible for trimming back if it's on their house? Since it's on our property, how does that work?
Usually on city right away, I mean.
I mean, it is on city right away, it's right in the road.
I mean, yeah, I think we
We need
probably
to
do.
do it. It looks like we need to cut it off, that house.
At least we'll make sure we get the arborist and make sure we trim whatever is appropriate to
I
trim.
mean, I think it's in the house.
It's close.
Yeah,
So if he's coming
I
this
talked
way.
to that citizen, and, it is one of the houses, it's, we have a lot of, maybe 2 branches almost like branching off to her house.
It's still terrible roof.
Yeah.
So if he could come and look at it, you said it's coming this week, we
It's coming tomorrow.
could vote on it, next Monday night. Is that doable?
For
To make it an action item for next Monday night after the arborist looks at it tomorrow?
next item for,
Trim the trees.
no, yeah.
Is it an action item? I'm just
No,
like.
well, it doesn't have to be. If,
If he just needs it safety, you just go ahead and have it done.
indeed, and the
I got
cost, and the cost is $6,000.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
But then nobody is in opposition.
No.
As long as an arborist does it, I'm okay.
Gotcha.
This has actually been brought up before, you know.
Yes.
Quote back in September.
That's right.
Before, so it's just a follow-up on getting it done.
Sometimes second time's the charm. There you go.
All right. All right, council, just going around the table, on the other, Councilmember Green.
I'm good.
Mayor Pro Tem? I'm good. Council Ward? Council Collins? Council Bakers? Council Palmer? All right.
I wrote down the contract with the county to conduct election. That needs to-
No, that's, it's already settled, so that'll be an action item, for next Monday. And we'll check with Cheryl, you got anything? Well, listen, I'll be remiss if I didn't say, and he'll probably make me do 15 push-ups, but that's fine. Luke, let's kind of agree in, interdisciplinary studies, on the dean's list, no less, and, congratulations to our friends. Indeed, so with that, council, it appears that we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion? We are adjourned. Thank you. Oh, wow.